The alarm bells rang through Earth's orbital station like thunder in space. Commander Lee Tae-min rushed down the metal hallway, his boots making sharp sounds on the floor. Behind him, other officers ran to keep up. Something big was happening, and everyone knew it. "Sir, the ship is massive," Lieutenant Kim Sora said as she ran beside him. "It's 10 times bigger than anything we've ever seen." Tae-min reached the main control room and looked at the giant screen. His heart sank. The alien ship floating outside looked like a metal mountain. Dark and threatening, it blocked out the stars behind it. Strange symbols glowed red along its sides. This was not a friendly visit. "They're asking to speak with our leader," reported Officer Han Min-ho from his station. "The message is coming through our computers now." The screen flickered and changed. A face appeared that made everyone in the room step back. The creature had 4 eyes, each one burning like red fire. Its skin looked like black metal and sharp teeth filled its mouth. When it spoke, its voice was deep and scary. "I am Admiral Korthon of the Galactic Empire," the alien said. "We have come to your small world with an offer. Join our empire willingly or face our champion in single combat." Tae-min stepped forward. "I am Commander Lee Tae-min of Earth Defense." "What kind of combat?" The alien's mouth curved into what might have been a smile, but it looked more like a threat. "Our champion will fight your strongest warrior. No weapons, no machines, only strength against strength. If your fighter wins, we leave your world alone. If our champion wins, your planet joins our empire. And if we refuse both options, then we take your world by force, and your people suffer greatly." The screen went dark. Tae-min looked around the room at his officers. Everyone was quiet. They all knew what this meant. Earth had good technology and smart people, but they were not known for having the strongest fighters in the galaxy. "Sir," Kim Sora whispered, "who could possibly fight their champion?" Before Tae-min could answer, the screen lit up again. This time, a different alien appeared. This one was much larger than the Admiral. It stood 12 feet tall with arms as thick as tree trunks. Its skin looked like armor, and it had 4 arms instead of 2. Scars covered its body like a map of old battles. "I am Vextar," the giant alien said. "I have fought the champions of 847 worlds. I have never been defeated. I have crushed the bones of the strongest warriors in the galaxy. Send me your best fighter, little humans. Let me add your world to my collection." The screen went dark again. The control room stayed quiet for a long time. Everyone was thinking the same thing. How could any human fight something like that? "We need to call a meeting," Tae-min said finally. "Get all our top military leaders here in 1 hour." As his officers rushed to make the calls, Tae-min walked to the big window that looked out at space. The alien ship hung there like a dark cloud. He had heard stories about the Galactic Empire. They traveled from world to world, challenging each planet's strongest fighter. When they won, which they always did, the planet had to join their empire. The empire had been growing for hundreds of years this way. "Commander," a voice said behind him. Tae-min turned to see Park Jin-woo standing in the doorway. Jin-woo was not a soldier anymore. He used to be a combat medic, someone who helped wounded fighters during battles. Now he worked as a peace negotiator, trying to solve problems with words instead of weapons. "Jin-woo, what are you doing here?" "I heard about the challenge. I wanted to help." Tae-min shook his head. "This is not a problem we can solve with words. They want to fight. Maybe that's exactly why we need a different approach." Jin-woo was not a big man. He was average height with a thin build. His hands were rough from years of medical work, but his eyes were kind. Most people would not look at him and think, "fighter." But Tae-min had known Jin-woo for many years. He had seen him work in the worst battle situations, always staying calm, always helping others. "Their champion is 12 feet tall with 4 arms, Tae-min said. "He has defeated hundreds of warriors." "I know. I saw the broadcast." "Then you know we need our strongest soldier." Jin-woo was quiet for a moment. He looked out at the alien ship. "What if strength isn't what we need?" Before Tae-min could ask what he meant, other officers began arriving for the emergency meeting. The room filled with Earth's best military minds. Everyone had ideas, but they were all bad ideas. General Park Hyunwoo suggested sending their best martial arts expert. Master Chen has won every fighting competition on Earth for the past 5 years. Against humans, Taemin replied. This alien has 4 arms and skin like metal. Colonel Yoon Ji-hai thought they should try to cheat somehow. Maybe we can hide a weapon or use some kind of technology. They will be watching closely. If we cheat and get caught, they will destroy our world. The meeting went on for 2 hours. Every idea was worse than the last. Finally, people started to give up hope. Some suggested they should just surrender without fighting. We cannot give up, Taemin said. There has to be a way. There is a way, Jinwoo said quietly from the back of the room. Everyone turned to look at him. I will fight their champion. The room exploded with voices. Everyone was talking at once, saying it was impossible, saying Jinwoo would be killed instantly. You are not even a soldier anymore, General Park said. You are a medic and a negotiator. Exactly, Jinwoo replied. That's why I might have a chance. Taemin raised his hand for silence. Explain. Jinwoo stepped forward. This empire has conquered hundreds of worlds by defeating their strongest fighters. But what if being the strongest fighter is not the answer? What if there is a different kind of strength? What kind of strength can defeat a 12-foot alien warrior? Jinwoo smiled sadly. The strength to show mercy when everyone expects violence. The strength to heal instead of hurt. The strength to see an enemy as a person who is suffering, the Ko. Room was quiet again. Everyone was thinking about Jinwoo's words. It sounds beautiful, Colonel Yoon said, but how will that help you win a fight? Maybe winning the fight is not the real goal, Jinwoo replied. Maybe the real goal is to change what the fight means. Taemin stared at Jinwoo for a long time. It was a crazy idea. It would probably get Jinwoo killed. But all the normal ideas would definitely get someone killed. And they would lose Earth too. The challenge is tomorrow, Taemin said finally. Are you sure about this? Jinwoo nodded. I have never been more sure of anything in my life. Outside the window, the alien ship waited like a patient predator. Tomorrow, everything would change. The Imperial ship was even more frightening on the inside than it looked from outside. Jinwoo walked through dark metal hallways that seemed to go on forever. Strange lights flickered on the walls, and the air smelled like machine oil and something else he could not name. Fear, maybe. 2 alien guards walked beside him. They were not as big as Vextar, but they were still much larger than any human. Their faces showed no emotion as they led Jinwoo deeper into the ship. Behind them, Commander Taemin and 3 other Earth officers followed quietly. The arena is ahead, one of the guards said in broken English. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. They entered a huge round room with metal walls that stretched up so high, Jinwoo could barely see the ceiling. Thousands of aliens filled seats all around the room. Some looked like giant insects, others like walking reptiles. All of them were staring down at the fighting area in the center. The floor of the arena was flat and smooth, made of some kind of dark metal. There were no weapons anywhere, no places to hide. Just empty space where 2 fighters would meet. Your human looks very small, Admiral Korthon said as he approached their group. Up close he was even more terrifying than on the screen. His red eyes glowed like hot coals and his sharp teeth caught the light when he spoke. Are you certain this is your champion? He is our choice, Taemin replied firmly. The Admiral laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Very well. The rules are simple. No weapons of any kind, no technology. The fight continues until one fighter cannot continue or surrenders. The winner determines the fate of your world. Jinwoo nodded and began walking toward the center of the arena. As he walked, he heard the crowd making noise. Some were laughing. Others were making sounds he did not understand, but that did not sound friendly. He reached the center and waited. The noise in the arena suddenly stopped. Everyone became quiet. Then Jinwoo heard it. Heavy footsteps that shook the metal floor. Boom, boom, boom. Each step sounded like thunder. Vextar entered the arena from the opposite side. In person, He was even more massive than he had appeared on the screen. His forearms hung at his sides like thick cables. Scars covered his dark skin from head to toe. Some scars were old and faded. Others looked fresh and red. "So," Vextar said as he walked closer, "Earth sends me a healer." His voice was deep and rough, like an earthquake talking. "I have killed healers before. They die just as easily as warriors." Jinwoo looked up at the giant alien. "Those scars on your left arm," he said calmly. "They look infected. When did you get them?" Vextar stopped walking. This was not what champions usually said to him. Most screamed or tried to attack immediately. "What did you say?" "The 3 long cuts on your left forearm. The edges are red and swollen. That means infection. It must hurt." For a moment, Vextar just stared down at him. Then he roared with anger and swung one of his massive fists toward Jinwoo's head. Jinwoo moved to the side just in time. The fist smashed into the metal floor where he had been standing, leaving a dent in the solid metal. The crowd cheered loudly. "Fight me properly, little human," Vextar growled. "Stop running and face me like a warrior." But Jinwoo did not attack back. Instead, he kept moving, staying just out of reach of the alien's powerful arms. "That limp in your right leg," Jinwoo said as he dodged another swing. "Old battle wound? The way you favor that side tells me it still bothers you." Vextar became more angry. He attacked faster, using all 4 arms to try to catch the human. But Jinwoo was smaller and quicker. He moved like water, flowing around. The attacks instead of meeting them head-on. "Stop talking and fight," Vextar shouted. "I am fighting," Jinwoo replied, ducking under a double punch. "I'm fighting to understand you." This confused the alien champion. In 847 battles, no one had ever tried to understand him. They had only tried to hurt him or avoid being hurt by him. Jinwoo continued moving and talking. "The scar across your chest looks like it came from a blade weapon, but there are smaller scars around it like someone tried to heal you but did not have the right tools. Someone cared enough to try." Vextar's attacks became less focused. He was still dangerous, but something in his movements had changed. "Be quiet," he said, but his voice was quieter too. "The marks on your wrists," Jinwoo continued, still dodging. "Those are not battle scars. Those are shackle marks. Someone kept you chained." "I said be quiet." Vextar's voice cracked slightly. The crowd was getting restless. They had come to see a quick, brutal victory. Instead, they were watching a strange dance where the human kept talking and the champion kept missing. Jinwoo pulled a small medical kit from his belt. Admiral Korthon started to object, but then he smiled cruelly. "Let him keep his toys," the Admiral said. "They will not help him when Vextar crushes his bones." But Jinwoo was not planning to use the medical supplies as weapons. During a brief moment when Vextar paused to catch his breath, Jinwoo did something that shocked everyone in the arena. He walked directly toward the giant alien, holding up his hands to show he was not attacking. "You're bleeding," Jinwoo said, simply. "From the cut on your arm, let me help." Vextar raised one of his fists to smash the foolish human who dared to come so close. But then he stopped. No one had ever offered to help him before. In all his years of fighting and all his battles across the galaxy, every person he met either tried to kill him or ran away in fear. "What are you doing?" Vextar asked. "What I was trained to do," Jinwoo replied. "Help people who are hurt." The arena fell completely silent. Even Admiral Korthon was staring with his mouth open. This was not how arena combat was supposed to work. Jinwoo opened his medical kit and took out a small bottle of antiseptic and a clean bandage. "This will sting a little," he said, just like he had said to thousands of wounded soldiers over the years. Vextar looked down at this strange human who wanted to heal his enemy. For the first time in longer than he could remember, the alien champion felt something other than anger or pain. He felt confused, and somewhere deep inside, in a place he had forgotten existed, he felt something that might have been hope. Vextar stood perfectly still as Jinwoo cleaned the infected wound on his arm. The antiseptic stung, just as the human had warned, But it was a different kind of pain than Vextar was used to. This pain meant healing, not hurting. The crowd in the arena was making angry noises. They had paid to see violence, not medical treatment. Some aliens were shouting for the fight to continue. Others were demanding their money back. "This is not combat," Admiral Corthon called out from his viewing platform. "Champion, destroy the human immediately." But Vextar did not move. He watched Jinwoo's hands work with gentle skill, cleaning away infection and wrapping the wound with a clean white bandage. The human's hands were steady and sure, hands that had clearly done this work many times before. "There," Jinwoo said, stepping back. "That should feel better in a day or two. Try to keep it dry." Vextar looked at his bandaged arm. Already the throbbing pain was less. "Why?" he asked quietly. "Because you were hurt, and I know how to help. But we are enemies. I am supposed to kill you." Jinwoo looked up into the alien's 4 eyes. "Are we enemies, or are we just two people who were told to fight by someone else?" This question hit Vextar like a physical blow. He staggered backward, his massive form suddenly seeming uncertain. In all his years as the Empire's champion, no one had ever asked him that question. Vextar started to speak, then stopped. "I must fight. It is what I do." "What did you do before you were a fighter?" Jinwoo asked gently. "I don't remember." "Try." Admiral Corthon was becoming impatient. "Enough of this foolishness. Guards, remove the human and prepare for orbital bombardment of Earth." "Wait," Vextar said, raising one of his massive hands. "The combat is not finished." The Admiral's red eyes glowed brighter with anger, but he could not argue. The rules were clear. The fight continued until one fighter could not continue or surrendered. Jinwoo began walking slowly around Vextar, not to attack, but to observe. "The scars on your back form a pattern," he said. "Like someone was teaching you to fight by cutting you when you made mistakes." Vextar's shoulders tensed. "That is how champions are made." "That is how slaves are made," Jinwoo corrected softly. "Champions choose to fight. You were forced to fight. I am the greatest warrior in the galaxy. You are the most hurt person I have ever met." These words broke something inside Vextar. He made a sound that was part roar and part sob, then swung all 4 arms at Jinwoo in a wild attack. But there was no skill in it anymore, no technique. It was just pain lashing out blindly. Jinwoo dodged easily and continued talking. "I have treated soldiers from many worlds. Humans, aliens, all different species. But the wounds are always the same. Fear makes the same cuts on everyone. Loneliness leaves the same scars." Vextar stopped attacking and fell to his knees. 12 feet tall, even kneeling he was still taller than Jinwoo. "I had a family," he whispered. "I remember now. A mate, children. What happened to them? The Empire came to my world when I was young. They said I was strong, that I could serve a greater purpose. They took me away." Vextar's voice was breaking. "They told me my family was weak, that I was better than them. They made me forget." Jinwoo approached carefully and placed a gentle hand on one of Vextar's massive shoulders. "You didn't forget. You buried the memories to survive the pain. That's what people do when they hurt too much. I became their weapon. I destroyed other families, other worlds." Tears were flowing down Vextar's scarred face now. "I became the thing that took me from my home." The arena had gone completely quiet. Even the Admiral was speechless. This was not supposed to happen. Champions were not supposed to remember who they used to be. Jinwoo opened his medical kit again and took out a small mirror, the kind doctors used to check patients' throats. He held it up so Vextar could see his own reflection. "Look at yourself," Jinwoo said gently. "Not as a weapon, not as a champion. Just look and tell me what you see." Vextar stared at his reflection for a long time. "I see someone who is tired," he said finally. "Someone who wants to go home." "Then go home." "I cannot. My world is gone. The Empire destroyed it after they took all the strong young people like me. There is nothing left. Then make a new home, make a new family. It's not too late. Admiral Corthon had heard enough. Guards, he commanded. Kill them both. We will take Earth by force. But something unexpected happened. The guards hesitated. They were looking at Vextar with new eyes. Some of them had been taken from their worlds as children too. Some of them had forgotten their own families. You feel it too, don't you? Jinwoo called out to the guards. The Empire did not make you strong. They made you forget what you were fighting for. One of the guards, a reptilian creature with green scales, slowly lowered his weapon. I had a sister, he said quietly. I had almost forgotten. Guards, obey your orders, Admiral Corthon screamed. But more guards were lowering their weapons. Around the arena, other aliens were starting to remember things they had buried deep inside. The Empire's power had always depended on making people forget who they used to be. Vextar stood up slowly. All 4 of his arms were shaking, but not with rage anymore, with something that might have been hope. I remember my daughter's name, he said. Kira. She would be grown now if she lived. She used to make me flower chains. Jinwoo smiled. She sounds wonderful. I want to find her, or find others like her who need protection instead of conquest. Admiral Corthon pulled out his own weapon, a long energy blade that glowed with deadly light. If you will not serve the Empire, then you will die like the rest of these weaklings. But Vextar was no longer the Empire's champion. For the first time in decades, he was fighting for something he believed in instead of something he was ordered to do. The real battle was about to begin. Admiral Corthon's energy blade hummed with deadly power as he jumped down into the arena. His red eyes blazed with fury at seeing his perfect weapon turned against him. You were made to serve the Empire, he snarled at Vextar. You are nothing without us. But Vextar was no longer listening to his former master. He positioned himself between the Admiral and Jinwoo, his 4 massive arms spread wide in protection rather than attack. I was never made to serve, Vextar said, his voice stronger than it had been in years. I was stolen and broken and rebuilt, but the real me was always still here. The Admiral attacked with lightning speed, his energy blade cutting through the air where Vextar's head had been a moment before. But the alien champion was no longer fighting like a mindless weapon. He was fighting like someone with something to protect. Around the arena, chaos was spreading. More guards were throwing down their weapons and walking away from their posts. In the viewing seats, representatives from conquered worlds were standing up and shouting. The holographic broadcasts were carrying this moment to hundreds of planets across the galaxy. Look what your empire really is, Jinwoo called out to the crowd. Look how they treat their own champions. On the planet Zelros, a blue-skinned alien named Kex watched the broadcast with growing excitement. His world had been conquered 50 years ago when their champion fell to Vextar. But now he could see that Vextar had been as much a prisoner as anyone else. On Morgul, an insect-like creature called Tiktar was broadcasting the arena fight to hidden resistance cells across his world. The champion remembers, he clicked excitedly to his fellow rebels. The Empire's greatest weapon has turned against them. On hundreds of other worlds, similar scenes were playing out. People who had lived in fear for generations were suddenly seeing hope. Back in the arena, Admiral Corthon was fighting desperately. His energy blade was fast and sharp, but Vextar had been trained by the Empire's best instructors. Even weakened by years of forced combat, even slowed by his emotional awakening, he was still incredibly dangerous. But the Admiral had a secret weapon. As they fought, he spoke in a low voice that only Vextar could hear. You think this human cares about you? He is using you, just like we did. Humans are weak and selfish. They only help when it benefits them. Vextar hesitated for just a moment, and the Admiral's blade cut across his chest, leaving a burning line of pain. See how quickly he steps away when you are hurt, the Admiral continued, pressing his attack. See how he lets you fight alone. This is what human mercy really means. They watch from safety while others suffer. But the Admiral was wrong. Jin Woo was not stepping away. Instead, he was moving closer, even though it was dangerous. "Vextar," he called out, "remember why you're fighting. Not for the Empire, not for Earth, but for everyone who deserves to choose their own path." "Foolish human," the Admiral laughed. "You think words can stop an energy blade?" Jin Woo reached into his medical kit one more time. But instead of taking out medicine, he pulled out something small and simple. A photograph. It was old and worn, showing Jin Woo with a group of soldiers he had treated during Earth's last war, humans and aliens together, all of them smiling despite their bandages and wounds. "This is what I fight for," Jin Woo said, holding up the picture. "Not conquest, not power, just the idea that different people can take care of each other." The Admiral struck again, but this time Vexatar was ready. He caught the energy blade between two of his hands, ignoring the burning pain, and held it steady. "I remember why I fight too," Vexatar said. With his other two hands, he reached out and snapped the blade in half. Admiral Korthon staggered backward, suddenly weaponless. Around him, his remaining loyal soldiers were vastly outnumbered by guards who had remembered their true selves. "This is impossible," the Admiral gasped. "The Empire has ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. You cannot destroy us with sentiment and weakness." "We're not destroying you," Jin Woo said calmly. "We're freeing the people you enslaved, including your own soldiers." Commander Taimin, who had been watching from the edge of the arena, stepped forward. "Admiral Korthon, you are surrounded. Your ship is surrounded by vessels from 12 worlds that just declared independence. Surrender now, and we can discuss terms." The Admiral looked around wildly. The arena that had been filled with cheering supporters was now filled with former subjects who had remembered their strength. The guards who had once obeyed his every command were now helping treat wounded prisoners he had kept in the ship's cells. "You have won nothing," he said desperately. "Other fleets will come. The Empire is vast." "The Empire was held together by fear," Vextar said. "Fear that resistance was impossible. But if I can change, if I can remember who I was before they broke me, then anyone can change." As if to prove his point, a communication signal came through the arena's speakers. It was from the Imperial fleet's own ships. "This is Captain Yexmar of the Dreadnought Conquest," a voice announced. "My crew and I have decided to join the rebellion. We remember our homes too." More signals followed. Ship after ship in the Imperial fleet was declaring independence. Some crews were locking up their officers. Others were simply flying away to find their lost homeworlds. Admiral Korthon fell to his knees. "Impossible," he whispered. Jin Woo approached him carefully. "It's not impossible. It's just hard. Change is always hard. But even you could choose a different path if you wanted to." The Admiral looked up with hatred in his red eyes. "I will never surrender to weakness." "Then you'll be alone," Vextar said sadly. "And that might be the worst punishment of all." Around the galaxy, the revolution was spreading faster than anyone had thought possible. World after world was rising up, not with violence alone, but with the simple understanding that they deserved to be free. The Galactic Empire, which had seemed unbreakable just hours before, was crumbling like a house made of sand. And it had. All started with one human who chose to heal instead of hurt. But the real test was still coming. It was one thing to tear down an empire. It would be much harder to build something better in its place. 6 months after the arena fight that changed the galaxy, Jin Woo sat in a simple medical tent on the planet Zelros. Outside, he could hear the sounds of construction, new buildings being built, old prisons being torn down, and children playing games their parents had almost forgotten. Dr. Jin Woo, a young blue-skinned alien, called from the tent entrance. Her name was Lyra, and she was one of many volunteers helping to rebuild worlds damaged by the Empire. "The morning patients are here?" Jin Woo smiled and nodded. Every day brought new people who needed help. Former soldiers learning to live without violence, families reuniting after years of separation, and children who had never known freedom learning how to play. The first patient was an old reptilian male, with scales that had lost their color. "I was a guard on an Imperial prison ship for 30 years, he said quietly. "I did terrible things. Can someone like me really change?" "Everyone can change," Jinwoo replied, checking the old alien's blood pressure with equipment donated by Earth's medical corps. "The question is not whether you can change, but whether you want to work at it every day." "It's hard," the old guard admitted. "Sometimes I still think the old way, like the Empire taught me. Change is supposed to be hard. If it was easy, it wouldn't mean anything." As Jinwoo worked, he thought about all the changes he had seen. The revolution had spread faster than anyone expected, but not the way most revolutions worked. Instead of replacing one government with another, worlds were choosing their own paths. Some formed democratic councils, others returned to traditional tribal leadership. A few decided to have no government at all. The important thing was that they were choosing. "Doctor," Lyra called again. "There's a message for you from the orbital station." Jinwoo stepped outside and looked up at the communication screen that had been set up in the town square. Commander Taiman's face appeared, smiling broadly. "Jinwoo, I have news. The last of the Imperial prison ships has been liberated." "Captain, Vextar and his crew found it hiding in the outer rim." Jinwoo felt a warm feeling in his chest. Vextar had refused to take any reward for his part in the revolution. Instead, he had asked for a ship and a small crew of volunteers. Together, they traveled the galaxy looking for Imperial prisoners and forgotten worlds that needed help. "How is our friend doing?" Jinwoo asked. "See for yourself," Taiman said, and the screen switched to show Vextar standing on the bridge of his ship. The former champion looked different now. His scars were still there, but his eyes held peace instead of pain. "Jinwoo," Vextar said, his deep voice warm with friendship. "We found something you will want to hear about." The screen changed again to show a small, green planet with 2 moons. "This is Kepler 442b. It was one of the first worlds the Empire conquered over 800 years ago. The people there developed a form of medicine that uses music and touch to heal both body and mind. We thought you might want to visit." Jinwoo laughed. Even now, Vextar was thinking about healing instead of fighting. "I would love to visit, but first, I have patients here who need help." "Of course," Vextar replied. "That is why we sent you the coordinates. Take your time. We will be exploring the Forgotten Sector, looking for other lost worlds." The screen switched back to Taiman. "There's other news too. Earth has received formal requests from over 300 worlds, asking to join what they're calling the Freedom Alliance. Not as conquered territories, but as equal partners." This was the best news of all. Instead of one empire ruling everyone else, worlds were choosing to work together. They shared technology, medicine, and knowledge. They helped each other solve problems. But no one was forced to participate, and anyone could leave whenever they wanted. "What about the old Imperial worlds?" Jinwoo asked. "The ones that supported the Empire willingly?" "Most of them are asking to join too. It turns out a lot of their support came from fear, not belief. When they saw there was another way to live, they wanted to try it." "And Admiral Korthon?" Taiman's expression became more serious. "He's still in prison on Earth. He refuses all offers of rehabilitation. Some people choose not to change even when they have the chance." Jinwoo felt sad about that, but not surprised. Change had to come from inside a person. It could not be forced from outside, no matter how much others wanted to help. "There's one more thing," Taiman said. "The Alliance Council wants to give you a medal, Hero of the Galaxy or something like that." Jinwoo shook his head firmly. "No medals. I was just doing my job. Your job was to heal people. You ended up healing an entire galaxy. I had help. Vextar did the hard part. He chose to remember who he used to be. All I did was remind him that he had a choice." After the call ended, Jinwoo returned to his medical tent. The next patient was a young, human girl whose family had been trapped on an Imperial labor world for generations. She had never seen Earth, but she wore a small pendant with the planet symbol. "Is it true that Earth people are naturally peaceful?" she asked as Jinwoo treated a cut on her hand. Jinwoo thought about the question carefully. "No," he said, finally. "Humans can be just as violent as anyone else. The difference is that we try to choose peace when we can. It's not natural. It's a decision we make every day." "Is that why you helped the alien champion? Because you chose to?" "Partly, but mostly because I could see he was in pain, and I knew how to help. It's what anyone should do when they see someone suffering." The girl was quiet for a moment. "I want to be a doctor like you when I grow up." "The galaxy needs more healers," Jinwoo agreed. "But remember, healing is not just about medicine. Sometimes the best healing happens when you listen to someone who feels alone, or when you help someone remember something good they had forgotten." As the day went on, Jinwoo treated dozens more patients, former Imperial soldiers learning to live with their guilt, families dealing with trauma from years of oppression, children who had nightmares about the old regime. But he also saw hope everywhere. Former enemies working together to build new communities. Old people teaching young people about traditions the Empire had tried to destroy. Artists creating beautiful things to replace the ugly monuments to conquest. That evening, as Jinwoo was closing his medical tent, Lyra approached him with a datapad full of messages. "These are from people all over the galaxy," she said. "They want to thank you for what you did." Jinwoo scrolled through the messages. There were thousands of them, from hundreds of different worlds. Former prisoners thanking him for their freedom, parents thanking him for their children's future, even some former Imperial officers thanking him for showing them a better way to live. But the message that meant the most was short and simple. It was from Vextar. "My friend," it said. "I found my daughter. She survived. She remembers the flower, Shane's. We are going home together to plant a garden. Thank you for reminding me that home was always possible." Jinwoo smiled and put down the datapad. Outside his tent, the sounds of construction continued. Tomorrow would bring new patients, new problems, new chances to help. The galaxy was not perfect yet. It might never be perfect, but it was better than it had been, and it was getting better every day. People were choosing mercy over violence, cooperation over conquest, healing over hurting. And sometimes, Jinwoo thought as he prepared for sleep, sometimes that was enough to change everything. The Q revolution was not over. It was just beginning. But now it was a revolution of hope instead of anger, of building instead of destroying, of remembering the best parts of who people used to be before they learned to be afraid. It was, Jinwoo realized, exactly the kind of revolution the galaxy needed.